Hey everybody, I'm Doug, that's Connor, and this is the Bethel School District Presents podcast, the podcast that promises you, if you don't get all your school news in 15 minutes or less, the next one's free.
Yes, it is. Like a good pizza delivery driver, we have not missed the mark so far, but you never know with today because we have a jam-packed show, so keep an eye on that timer.
That's for sure, but be that as it may, Connor, there's always time for useless trivia of the week. Why don't you kick us off?
Yeah, you got to make time for useless trivia, and mine is a good one this week, and it is, Douglas, did you know that an octopus has 3 hearts? Three. 2 pump blood to the gills, 1 to the rest of the body. I got that little tidbit from the Natural Science Museum.
That's really interesting. I never thought about the innards of an octopus.
You don't need to, but now you know. So hit us with your useless trivia.
Well, in honor of the very first day of school for the 2025-2026 school year, my useless trivia of the week is all about school buses. Did you know that all school buses in the US of A are painted the exact same color? It's a hue officially known as National School Bus Glossy Yellow.
I did not know that. How did that come about?
Well, I'm glad you asked that. Way back in 1939 at a conference in New York City, educators and transportation officials from all 48 states.
Doug.
Yes.
There are 50 states. You should know that.
Well, thank you for the fact check. Actually, Alaska and Hawaii weren't states yet. This is 1939. They weren't states for another 20 years. They both became states in 1959. But anyway, these officials came together and came up with national standards for the modern school bus, and one of those was the color yellow. Now, Connor, I know you're a scientist. Science was not what it was back then, but now we know that yellow is actually at the peak of the visibility spectrum. There's actually no other color that attracts more attention or is more conspicuous than yellow.
You're just full of trivia today.
I am, and I'm very excited because in the studio with us is our very own Superintendent, Dr. Brian Lowney. And Brian, it is a very exciting time of the school year, the first day of school. What does that mean to you?
It is exciting, and I think of the excitement for our kids and families, but selfishly, it's exciting for me. As a former high school principal, I think all the time of the pep bands and the start of the school year and our freshmen being introduced to a new school year and a new school situation. But as superintendent, I think about more than that. I think about the kindergarten parents clinging to their kids, not the other way around when they drop off their kiddos.
That's for sure.
I think of our middle schoolers and the preteen angst involved in showing up to middle school for the first time and switching classes and wondering which lunch you have and who's going to sit at my table. And while those things are all real, they're also super exciting. So yeah, the start of a school year, what an opportunity.
Yeah, Bethel Day 1 is always the greatest. You just feel so much hope in the air. You see these giant backpacks on these little kids. It's always exciting. And Dr. Lowney, I understand you have something else exciting coming up. A little birdie told me that you are hosting people in our community for a coffee with the superintendent. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
As a former principal, I would often spend the entire day with my office door open, and I would tell my wife when I got home, when she asked about how my day went, I'd say, boy, I was just pinned to the office wall all day because folks come in, and the famous line at a principal's office is, do you have a minute? And I'd complain that I didn't get any work done, and my wife said, that is your work. And so then the rest of my work I would do at nights when there weren't staff around or students around or parents around. As superintendent, I don't have that same opportunity necessarily to interact with the community and our staff on the daily because my office isn't in their spaces. While I try to get out and be as visible and present as I can at all of our community events and in our schools, it's just not enough. So the idea of creating access for our families, for our community members is super important to me. So we're going to start with some coffee chats, and I'm excited for those. The real bottom line questions are, what's going well for you and your family in our schools? What's not going so well? And what could we improve on? And when you really ask people and you're genuinely interested and curious about what they want to tell you, and it's hard to not be defensive because I care so deeply for the kids and community, but also for our staff who's doing the best that they can do. That doesn't mean that we can't change and be better. So when you come from that really truly curious and wanting to learn spot, it changes the nature of the conversation. In fact, I had some with staff and open conversations with staff before the school year started, and can tell you just the input we get from our staff, if that can be replicated with our community where they feel really an open, trusting space to communicate what's going well and, again, what's not going so well. We can do better for our kids and families, and that's what I'm excited about for those chats.
Absolutely. Well, the first coffee with the superintendent will be at the Educational Service Center in Spanaway on September 10th from 8 to 9 a.m. It'll be in the boardroom. We hope to see as many of you there as we can.
And now joining us in the studio is yet another Brian Streleski, our Director of Athletics and Safety and Security, and probably some other things I'm forgetting. Brian, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
So, Brian, you are a bit of a jock. We know that about you.
Okay.
You're also in charge of all the athletics here. So we were thinking, Doug and I, we're a couple of wannabe jocks here, especially Doug. Heck of a bowler. Nice. We were thinking about all the amazing athletes who've come through the halls of our high schools and gone on to do great things or are currently doing great things. And we wanted to talk to you, get a little roundup of our current former stars out there doing their thing either in the collegiate levels or in the NFL. First one that popped into my mind was Ezra Cleveland. What's he up to?
Well, he's playing in the NFL. It's exciting stuff. Got a couple of guys in the NFL right now. Ezra is a good lineman, obviously. Doing a great job down in Jacksonville. And exciting for us to have, our student athletes that go on and play professionally. So he's doing a great job.
Yeah, and shout out to also another big guy, Foster Sorrell from GK, who has gone on. He had an amazing career at Stanford and is now, where's he playing?
Washington Commanders, so he's doing a great job over there. But having those two guys that come out of the school district the same year playing in the NFL at the same time is really impressive for the Bethel School District.
And a few years ago, GK had one of the great football teams Washington has ever seen. They won the state title. They won the Geico Bowl in Las Vegas, and that team was chock full of stars. Any updates on any of those guys?
Many of them still playing in college. Josh Wood just transferred over to Idaho to play quarterback over there. Also having Vega is playing line over at Penn State and having a great career, is right now on for a really high draft choice after this year if everything goes the way it has the last couple of years. Has some really good highlights out there of pancake blocks on some guys at the big-time college level. So really successful career for Vega over there at Penn State.
And we definitely can't forget very recent graduate alumni from Bethel High School's Adris Rainey Sale up playing with the Dogs this year at UW.
Yeah, excited to see him play with the Huskies and see how that goes and have a great career up there. I know Coach Domser is really excited to see what he can do with the Huskies up there. It'll be exciting.
So that's some of the stars from yesteryear. How are our teams looking this year? Can you give us a little preview on specifically how our three football teams looking?
All looking good, all super athletic, got lots of speed. The size is always everybody's challenge, but really got some speed and got some skill guys at all three schools. GK returns a group of young kids coming back. Last year they had a starting freshman quarterback coming back for a sophomore year, so that's exciting to see what he can do. And then watching Bethel continue to grow and get better. They really played well last year, and they return a bunch of their kids as well, so it'd be interesting to see how they do. Spinner Lake is always scary because they're just so athletic on the outside and can make plays that people just don't expect him to. So it'd be great to see how Spinner Lake does. Our coaches are working hard trying to get them prepared. We play in a really tough league, and so having them be successful in that league is really difficult. Last year's league champ was the state champion for the state, so for WIA. So they got to go play Sumner every time, and that's always a challenge in playing those teams. So I think it's a good challenge for them. The kids are ready. I've seen them out all summer working. All three schools got them working hard. Weight room, conditioning, on the field with their practice. Doing their local area stuff that they do for team camps and just getting prepared. It's going to be an exciting year for our football season this year for the Bethel School District.
That's awesome. And looking at some of the other sports that we offer for our middle and high school students, where do you think some highlights will be?
Well, I think our volleyball teams are going to be strong. Always have some really good runners in cross country. We had a couple of young kids last year running across the district, so seeing them excel this year will be great. Also, girls soccer last year was strong. See what they can pull off this year. Again, the hard part for our teams is they're playing in the toughest league in the state of Washington for the 4A level, and all three teams playing each other, and they got to battle each other. So it's a great crosstown rival, but it also means that you got to kind of beat up on each other a little bit to get to the playoffs and then make it through. But we got some really strong athletes looking to have a good year for all of our sports.
Well, Brian, let's transition over to safety and security. As we all know, that is our number one priority in this district. And this is an exciting time, the start of the school year for many, many parents, but it can also be a little little nerve-wracking, especially for younger parents who maybe haven't dropped their kids off that many times. So give us a little rundown on some of the many, many things our district does to keep children, staff, and visitors safe and secure each and every day.
Communication is huge for the kids, the families, the community to know what's happening with their schools, because the more clear we are with them, the better they feel about coming into school and feeling welcome in our schools. And that's one of our big things, is our schools feeling welcome. Even though we have some security things in place, like our entry vestibules, that they come in, they got to buzz in through a video access system to make sure that they belong there. And then once they get inside, they get redirected into another area to make sure that they should be there to pick up their kids or drop off their kids or whatever the case may be. And so those security pieces just right from the start, sometimes people don't feel super welcome, but it's where they really get to feel secure and have known behind closed doors is where their kids are at and they're safe back there. And our staff and our community when they're in there as visitors as well. And so I think that's a good starting place. The glass on all of our fronts of our schools have been set up with some safety film that goes over the top of it that also makes it much more difficult to get through those areas. It's not bulletproof, but it sure is shatterproof, and it protects the glass and protects the people behind it, gives them time to be able to react to what's going on outside based on how long it takes to get through it. So, and then also we have cameras that are throughout the school district. We have our campus safety at our middle schools and our high schools, and all the layers back to our Pierce County Sheriff deputies, our school resource officers also. We have them as another line. But we're always doing everything we can, trying to be kind of on the cutting edge to make sure that we've got every security piece in place to make sure our kids feel safe so they can learn. Because if they aren't safe, they aren't learning.
And Brian, you mentioned our school resource officers. So for people who don't know, what's the difference between an SRO and a campus security officer?
So our campus safety are our school district employees. They're in uniforms, like a polo shirt, a sweatshirt that says campus safety on it. They're our first line of defense. They're in all of our secondary schools. They are also the people that are building real positive relationships with our kids, really getting to know our kids. Our families know that they get to know where kids walk each day in the hallway. They could probably tell you what kid wears what backpack and what hat usually, just really know our schools really well. They know the buildings inside and out, what direction kids flow, where the spots are that they've got to watch. Our school resource officers, which are Pierce County Sheriff deputies, they are the ones that are responding in our really high intense situations. But they're also a school resource officer, which means we use them as a resource. They're educating our kids, they're building relationships with kids, letting them know that they're here to protect them and letting them know that they're there to make sure that what's supposed to happen at school is happening at school. They're not there to interact with them any other time other than hopefully be in a positive light and make sure that the kids feel safe and know that there's somebody that's going to respond quickly if something does happen, and that they've got a relationship if something's going on that they can come talk to. So they're another layer of the security steps that we take, is just trying to have them be there to be supportive of our schools and build a connection to the greater community rather than just our employees for the Bethel School District.
Yeah, and folks should know they are a levy-funded part of our safety and security plan, so we want to thank our voters out there for allowing us to have those school resource officers here in Bethel. And Deputy Vicki Morrison, longtime SRO, after I think more than 15 years here in Bethel, has just stepped away. What's that going to mean for us?
Yeah, kind of a new face for our SRO program here with Deputy Morrison leaving us. She's been great, been a strong member for us, somebody that I use as a resource every day. I still have her phone number, so I'll make sure I call her when I need her. It's good for her. It'll be good for us, and we'll be able to move forward. We have a couple other new SROs coming in this year also. So building new relationships with SROs. Hopefully they'll get into the schools and really build new relationships with kids and help them feel safe and comfortable in our schools.
Well, Brian Streleski, Director of Athletics and Security, thanks for joining us today.
Thank you for having me. It's been great.
Well, thank you again to both our guests today, the two Brians, Brian Streleski and the Superintendent, Dr. Brian Lowney. It's been a great show.
Yeah, before we go, Doug, I hate to call you out here, but we are an educational podcast, and you did not cite your source for this week's Useless Trivia, and we do not want to spread misinformation here, so let's hear where you got this piece of trivia.
Well, thank you for calling me out on that. Want to set a good example for the kids out there. Always cite your sources, kids. My school bus yellow information came from howstuffworks.com.
Well, that'll do it for this week. We'll be back next week with a brand new episode. See you then.